recording. Okay. Take 2. Yay. Okay. DNA is a molecule. It's a bunch of atoms stuck together. These atoms combine to form the shape of a long, oh my gosh, I got pens. That's excellent. Spiral ladder. Its function is to act as a recipe or blueprint to build an organism like a tree, a dog, or a dinosaur. And now we are being introduced to the word amino acids. Amino acids are tiny chemicals. They are also molecules, but they're not big, they're quite small. And you can see, like if we look over on the right-hand side, they've got carbons in them, they've got hydrogens in them and oxygens, and they have ring structures and various things like that. You do not need to know any of the actual molecules. Yes? Yeah, you sure can. They are often referred to as the building blocks of life. Okay, and they have some pretty funky names. Phenylalanine, proline, glutamic acid, serine, aspartic acid. Kind of crazy. Okay? You don't need to know any of those names. All right? About how many amino acids are there? 20, yes. Shh, please don't talk while I'm talking. Thank you. There is about 20 different kinds of amino acids, each with their own unique shape. The neat thing about amino acids is that they can be attached to each other, kind of like Legos, to produce an endless variety of larger particles called proteins. Okay, so if you stick a bunch of amino acids together, you get proteins. Amino acids make up proteins. Proteins and other chemicals make up living cells. Cells make up tissues. Tissues make up organs. And all the tissues and organs put together make living creatures. Yay. Okay. Okay. Now, I can't remember, was it thousands or millions? I think it was millions. Doesn't really matter. Lots of different kinds. Yes, lots. Lots of different kinds of proteins make up our body. In order to function properly, proteins must be the perfect, oh, I heard it somewhere, shape. The shape determines the function. One of the functions of DNA is to tell the amino acids how to line up and form themselves into the perfect protein shapes. So the DNA tells the order of the amino acids. And once the order is correct, they will fold up into the perfect shape. Here is a simplified model of DNA. You need to know A's, T's, G's, try and make that look like a G, G, and C. If you want to, you can learn the full name of each of them. A stands for adenine. The INE is pronounced ene. So adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Okay? And those A's, T's, G's, and C's make up the rungs of the ladder. I realize that many students don't know the word rungs. Those are like the steps of the ladder, but when it's a ladder, it's not really a step. It's those things that you hang on to. So these are the steps or rungs of the ladder, made up of 4 different chemicals, A, T, G, and C. Do you notice anything about how they pair up with each other? Have a chat with your neighbor. Anyone notice anything? What do you notice about the shape? It's like a little puzzle. The A's and the T's, at least in this picture, are semicircles. Yeah? What about the G's and the C's? They're like arrow kind of shape. Would an Would an A fit with a C? No. Would a T fit with a G? No. So A goes with T and G goes with C. And there's a way of remembering that. Apples are in the tree. So A goes with T. And the car goes in the garage. So C goes with G. Now, if you look at half the molecule, you can read the chemical sequence, but it's not just called a chemical sequence. It is called a genetic code. And I think I left 2 blanks, one for genetic and one for code, so I'm just going to cross that out. From top to bottom, sort of like a book. So the genetic code is the sequence of A's, T's, C's, and G's. And do you remember how last week I talked to you about having a cheat sheet for the quizzes? Yeah. Genetic code is going to be one of those words. So I'm going to put a red star beside it. This is vocab. Let's see if that, can you guess on this page if there was any more vocab? Is there any more vocab on this page? A, T, G, C. That gets a star. If you're not starring them, you won't know what the vocab is. So if you're not paying attention, circle it and put a star beside it. You should know proteins. And because it's not just all vocab, it's also concepts, you should know that the shape determines the function. Do we all know what function means? How it works. Let's go back one page. We're not going to need you to know cells, tissues, organs, but what else should you know? You should know amino acids. And you should know that there are 20. Okay, back on the first page, we already know amino acids. DNA, you need to know DNA. Okay. La la la, la la la, la la la. Okay, we are now going to page, let me see, 18. A single strand of DNA is very long, millions of letters long. So you can see we are zooming in. We zoom in, or we zoom out, actually. And eventually, what does it look like? It looks like a noodle. Really long noodle. And this long, thin, noodly form of DNA, this is a word that was not covered in the video. It is called chromatin. It's pronounced chromatin. Chromatin. DNA spends most of its life coiled up like a noodle, living inside the, where does it live? Nucleus. Amino acids, however, Jerry, turn around. Thank you. Amino acids, however, live in the cytoplasm. Oh, they live outside the nucleus in the cytoplasm. They live outside the nucleus in the cytoplasm. Do you see how this creates a problem? The instructions to make proteins Where are they? In the nucleus. Where's the building blocks to make the proteins? Outside the nucleus. So we have a problem. Instructions are over here. Building blocks are over here. And there's a barrier in between. Do you remember what we call that barrier? That is called the nuclear membrane. That's a vocab word. So the DNA is inside the nucleus. The amino acids live out there. How do we get the instructions out? How do we get them out? How does the DNA, which is stuck in the nucleus, get its code out to the cytoplasm to help organize the amino acids? To help the DNA interact with the, and we're now on page 19, to help the DNA interact with the cytoplasm. And cytoplasm is, of course, a vocab word. And convert the, what gets converted into proteins? Amino acids. But you're right, it is the RNA. Special chemicals inside the nucleus make partial copies of the DNA code. These partial copies, and this is what I'm looking for now, what are they called? RNA. And if you're interested, oh, in fact, let's put a star beside RNA. RNA, the name is really similar to DNA, but it's just missing the D and the oxy. It is just ribonucleic acid. Yes. Okay. There's the RNA. Why do we want the, what does the RNA do? How does it get out of the nucleus? How does the RNA get out of the nucleus? Through the nuclear pores, yes. Okay, so we have the RNA. It looks a lot like DNA, but they are smaller, of course, and they are missing one of their sides. RNA is single-stranded. You need to know that RNA is single-stranded and DNA is double-stranded. Okay. Here we go. Here's the cytoplasm. There goes the RNA. It goes out through the nuclear pore. The RNA molecule is small size and shape. This is now page 20. Small size and shape. Allow them to fit through tiny pores in the nuclear membrane. And they fit out to the cytoplasm. And into the mouth of another particle called a ribosome. There's the ribosome. Ribosomes, what kind of building machines are they? What do they build? Proteins. They are protein building machines. How many letters do they read at a time? 3 letters. You need to know that. You need to know about the pores. You need cytoplasm, you need ribosome, you need nuclear membrane. What do the ribosomes suck out of the cytoplasm? RNA, but also amino acids. They suck amino acids out of their surroundings in the cytoplasm, and they stick them together in a chain according to the genetic code, which is read 3 letters at a time. Okay. As the chain grows, it folds. What does it do? It bends, coils, and sticks. It bends, folds, and sticks to itself to form a perfectly shaped protein. So you can see here, we have like a little stop motion almost, like we get this little chain of amino acids and then a bigger chain and then a bigger chain, and it bends and it folds and it sticks to itself. Every 3 letters of the RNA code tell which of the how many kinds of amino acids? How many kinds? 20 different kinds of amino acids to be added next. For example, CAA tells the ribosome to grab a glutamine. AGU tells it to grab a serine. And so on. You are not responsible for knowing the names of the amino acids. Now, while we're at it, we might as well mention that this particular type of RNA is called messenger RNA. That's a vocab word. And because messenger RNA is a long word to write, we will call it mRNA. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that the M, it's a little m, and it's big RNA, capital RNA. Okay, so we got our messenger RNA there, mRNA. We'll learn about 2 more types of RNA later on, but that's messenger RNA. Can you think of why it might be called messenger RNA? Because it takes the message from the nucleus to the cytoplasm. Yeah. So it's bringing that message out. Now, here we go. A couple things about the ribosome. The ribosome has two subunits. It has a large subunit and a small subunit. And if you recall this RNA, what type of RNA is that? mRNA, messenger RNA. So all of this is happening out in the cytoplasm. And there we have our perfectly formed protein. It can go on to do a number of things, one of which could be to help form a brand new cell. Woo. Recap. DNA is a molecular blueprint or recipe for a living thing. They're both analogies, right? So DNA makes RNA. DNA creates RNA. And RNA creates protein. And we're going to learn a couple more words. This process here, DNA creates RNA. That process is known as transcription. Hello. Yes. Sorry, I'm just putting this on your desk for you. Just whenever it's a good time. So DNA going to RNA is called transcription. We'll talk a lot more about this later. So if you're like, oh my gosh, so many words, it's okay. RNA creates protein. That is called translation. This whole process is known as protein synthesis. Synthesis means making. And don't worry if you're like, oh my gosh, so much vocab. Remember, you get to make a cheat sheet, and we're going to be using this vocabulary over and over and over and over until it becomes way more familiar. Okay? So protein synthesis is another vocab word. Yes, you may. And proteins go on to form life. Yay! All right, we're going to skip the next page for today. We'll come back to it tomorrow. You guys can work on pages 25 and 26. If you want to work ahead, you can, but pages 25 to 26, that's your homework. You might be able to finish it before you leave today. Yeah. Quiz is not tomorrow. I have to just like give me a minute. I'm going to look and see what's on the quiz and what we need to cover. Do I have any what? I have paper. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Thai key, there's your product. I actually remember this.
So, what is this supposed to mean? Can I just do the career center during lunch?
So you would go to the career center and they're going to give you a program letter or something. And you can go now, you can go during lunch, whenever works for you.
Like related to the building.
So why do you have Okay, so it's sitting there. What is it? So those letters, what is letter for? Yes. What was that code that instructions for? Yes. And if anyone finished the homework in the meantime, you can come and show me. That was Tristan. Hi. Yes, I do have an answer key for this. Let me grab it for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Evelyn. Thank you. Where did I put the answer? Yeah.
Wait, where in the child is it? Wait, when did you say? They call it. It's called. Oh my god! Girl. The DNA has the instruction how to put together, but it is too big to fit here. Oh, nuclear war. What? Takes that instruction.
What? No, that's just more right. Just how the DNA.
And that's specifically the process by which an RNA transcription. Yeah, transcription.
Oh, yeah. All right, how are we doing? What is the job of the DNA? Where was that? Where was that? I don't know. Okay. As opposed. Well, no, two bits can be the bar. It's like two bits. Nice.
No. I have to write this down. No, I started it. I'll do it. Say the word.
It's just making out like.
It's not big, it's safe. What? I'm not big, it's structured. I'm confused.
Find it? It has two.
How did I mistake the website? That's worked out. How is it possible?
You can remember it was the apple still in the carbon. Oh, you're big garage. I just walk.
Ooh, what happened?